get rid of them. So throughout the entire journey, I had a chance to work with around like 60 clients all around the world, mainly from Turkey, US, UK, Germany, New Zealand, India, and mainly with the English-speaking countries, and also from Turkey because I'm originally a Turkish citizen. And I also had a chance to be in the advisory board of 2 startups, and I'm currently still doing working as a technical advisor on one startup, which is actually developing a machine learning-based SEO tool for identifying technical issues and tracking rankings. I'm also a judge for UK, European, and MENA Search Awards since 2016 for these three search events. And also I'm an active contributor to the SEO community in general by providing those kind of talks that I really enjoy, and talking to people and getting their questions, and also sometimes asking interesting questions to the community itself. So as I'm gonna, I like to start with this topic with a question. So I've been helping many clients to lift the algorithmic adjustments on their website, especially due to Penguin and Panda, because but it all starts with identifying whether your site has been impacted by those algorithms, you know. So, and there's one simple methodology for that, but I want to give you some background information about this one. And this all started with a tweet. So someone asked to Joe Miller this question: so why are my rich snippets not showing up on SERP? And he answered with this tweet. As you can see, he said there's 3 possible reasons. Yeah, the first one is maybe it's technically incorrect, or it's not compliant with the policies, or in general there are quality issues with your site. So let's go into the detail and talk about the reasons why a URL does not produce any rich snippets. I mean, actually it's called now rich results on the search engine result pages. So the first reason might be the technical incorrectness. That means if the structured data is not coded correctly using the right in-page markups, that is representing the information that has been marked up. If there are technical issues for that, that might be one of the reasons why your rich snippets are not showing up on the search engine result pages from your page. Or the second reason might be you are using the wrong markup type. Like that means your structured data code is violating the Google's guidelines about structured data. So the guidelines actually part into 2 ways: the technical guidelines and the quality guidelines. And this one is mainly about the quality guidelines. So, but the third reason is that, as John mentioned, quality issues with your site. And the quality issues, I mean, it's a general topic, yeah? So now we are going to talk about what the quality issue is. But before we dive into that one, I'd like to clear out the all the reasons, and then I will show you the method, how you identify any traces of Panda or Penguin algorithms on your website. So what can you do in order to tick the problem with the technical correctness of your structured data? So the first thing you need to do, you can do, is to log into the Search Console and go to the search appearance and look at the issues there. So you can easily identify the specific errors, as you can see here in the detail. Like this site has like 2 million pages that are marked up, and 3 of them has issues. So you can easily understand what these issues are. You can see whether they are piling up at some time, like you have more issues in general. You can monitor it easily and then go into the errors and deep dive into what is the reason, and you can fix these markups quite easily. Another method you can do is to elaborate a structured data testing tool that Google provides us. So you can easily validate your structured data code in there and see if producing any errors or warnings. So here I put, for example, Google's own webmaster blog post, one of the blog posts about the rich results tester, which is related to this topic. And then you can easily identify what are the errors and the warnings, and then you can go and fix them. The last method, you make sure that you did it all right, is apart from using Google Search Console and structured data testing tool that Google provides. You can use Fetch as Google tool to make sure that you don't block any of the structured data pages from Googlebot to crawl it. So, because if Googlebot cannot really understand what is on your page, I mean, probably you are blocking some resources for Googlebot to render the page correctly or even crawl the page. So that's why you need to look into the robot.txt file and see if it is blocking anything, and you can easily do it by fetching as Google, or you might look into the meta robot text, whether they have been fixed into no index, or you can use and check any other crawler access control mechanisms. So if you make sure these three things, then you are 100% sure that there's no technical problems regarding your structured data. So you might be asking yourself, what is related? I mean, we are talking about structured data. How is it going to relate with Panda and Penguin? You might need to have a little bit more patience about this one, because I want to go to all the methods one by one, like a scientific approach. Then you will understand why and how we can use this method. So the first thing has been checked, the first reason, because you remember there are three reasons. The first one was technical reason, and you can fix and validate all these reasons by using those tools that I just mentioned. So the second thing is it was about the markup type. If you are using the wrong markup type, that is violating Google's guidelines regarding the structured data, then of course Google will not allow your page to produce any rich results on the SERPs. So, okay, yeah, you have fixed and validated the structured data markup implementation. The code is fine, technically it's working. But there are still no rich results on the SERP, search engine result pages for your page. So what else you can do now? So you have to familiarize yourself with the Google structured data quality guidelines and read through the policies and the examples they provide, so that you can ensure any of your pages do not violate these guidelines at all. And let's have a brief look at the guideline together, because it's kind of like a long guideline, which you can actually follow here. Maybe Alex will distribute this presentation, and you will be able to click the link here, but this goes to Google's developer tools. So let's have a look at the guidelines together to get an understanding in a nutshell. So this image I took from the Google's guidelines directly from the Google developer website. And here you can see it has been parted into 7 different groups. And these are the main reasons why you might be violating the guidelines, and that's why Google is not allowing you to have any rich snippets in the SERP. So the first thing is that you have to follow Google's webmaster guidelines, and that is the guidelines actually is about everything that is related to Google indexes being free from spam. So make sure you're not implementing any spammy practices that might get a violation for these guidelines. And then you need to provide up-to-date information. So if your information is not quite updated, that might also be the reason that you are violating the policies around structured data. So you have to provide original content. That means either your content or user-generated content that needs to be original, authentic, not the fake reviews. And you cannot, if you mark up the content that is not visible to the users on the page when they land to the page, that means if you only marked up your content by using structured data and schema markups, but never used in the HTML, so it's not visible to users, that is a violation of the guidelines as well. And similar to that one, if you mark up your content with irrelevant or misleading content, like unrelated content or fake reviews, that's also a violation of the guidelines. So you have to specify all required properties for your rich result type. That means if you are using a specific schema markup, you need to look into the required types and need to provide this to search engines to understand in your structured data code. So you cannot use only one of the properties for a specific type, but you have to use all necessary ones, but some of them might be optional. So, and you need to use the most specific type and the property name defined by the schema.org for your markup. So please spend some time to understand which markup type actually helps you to create what you want. And the last thing is that if you mark up multiple items, like in a list, then you have to mark up all items in your list. So you cannot just specify one markup. If you are using a list of markups, you are required to use the other items marked up as well. So if you look at the examples that Google provides that are the violations of the guidelines, you will get a better understanding what the structured data guideline is about. So it might seem a little bit exhausting that I mentioned with the list, but it's actually not. So if you read it in one go and look at the examples, then you have a better understanding of the guideline, and you'll understand what you need to do in order not to violate the guidelines and get lost the possibility of having rich snippet in the SERPs. So Google provides here in the link I mentioned, Google provides the common causes for structured data manual actions. So Google Search Quality, look at the examples of the policy violations. You don't necessarily have to have a manual action for that. But if you look at the examples why sites get manual actions for structured data, then you'll have a better understanding of the policies. And then you will make sure that you don't violate the policies. And then we can go into the technical method that I will mention. So at this stage, we will get insightful information about site's quality, because we made sure that the page structured data has been marked up correctly without any technical issues. So the code is super fine. There is nothing wrong with the implementation. And we make sure that the structured data markup and the marked up content is totally aligned with Google's policies about structured data. Then there is only one thing. So why we don't still see the rich results and on the SERP. The one thing is that your site has quality issues. And the quality issues, meaning is that your site has severe problems or visibility issues because of algorithmic adjustments impact on your website, which is either Penguin or Panda. So the methods you will use to reveal whether the site has been impacted and has quality issues is looking at rich results traffic development. And to do that, we have to use the old Search Console, although I love the new one, so the new one doesn't have all the functionalities yet. So you will have to use the old Search Console and go to the Search Analytics and choose the search appearance and get the filter by rich results and see the traffic based on the pages, the impression, and the clicks. So this will tell you if you have implemented the structured data on your website. This will give you the idea that what is the traffic driven by the pages that has been marked up and showing rich results in the SERP. So with this data, for example, here, you have one domain example that doesn't have any quality issues. So we cannot spot any traces of Penguin or Panda impact here. Because you look at the first, this is the same domain. I cannot reveal the domain because of my confidentiality with the clients, but this is the last, 90 days organic traffic development, and this is the rich results organic traffic development for the same period. And here you can see they are kind of like quite correlated. As you can see, the graphs are going in the same direction, and I want you to look into the total clicks, the number of the total clicks and the difference between them. So the difference is not quite big, yeah? It's a minor difference. And this is mainly based on, because I will be talking about this in detail later, but this will be because of some URLs have not been marked up, but most of the URLs has been marked up. So it's actually, maybe you can remember this from one of the earliest slides. The numbers are here, the same. And yeah, this is one of the information I have used. So let's go back to the data, and this is the domain without any quality issues. That means the impact of Panda or Penguin has not been negative for this site. And we just can identify this by looking into the difference between total clicks. If the difference is not severe enough, then this definitely tells us there is nothing to worry about from the quality perspective of the site. regarding the issues. So, but here you can see another domain that must have quality issues, either penguin or panda, because it has heavily been impacted for the last 75 days. So if you look at the same organic traffic and the rich results organic traffic data, by filtering out the organic traffic, checking from the search appearance, by putting the rich results. So as you can see, 75 days ago, there was a steep drop in the amount of the traffic driven by the rich results. And we assured there was no technical issues regarding this one, and we didn't violate any of the guidelines regarding the search data policies. So, and you can see the drastic change between the total amount of the traffic. If actually we look at the last 25 days, this will be almost 0 or maybe 10 or something, and this will be the total amount of the clicks. And it's not resulted to something else. So we can easily see there's Google stopped showing the rich snippets, and there is nothing else related, nothing else other than the quality issues itself. So now I'd like to give you the kind of like the formula that I use. So if you, this slide is not something that I really like putting a lot of information, but I wanted to do it for future references. So the only thing you have to remember is the ratio between the rich results, organic traffic, and total amount of the organic traffic. If this ratio is similar to the number of the organic traffic generating marked up URLs, the ratio of this to the total amount of the organic traffic generating URLs, if they are similar to each other, then you know that your site has not been impacted negatively by Panda or Penguin, and your site doesn't have large quality issues. Yeah, you might have some like minor problems, but you will be ensured that there is no negative impact. So what does that mean? That means if I give an example, let's say you have 100 URLs and 90 of them is marked up, let's say by aggregate ratings or by product, and that means 90% of your traffic should be coming from the rich results organic traffic, yeah? So if you compare, let's say your traffic is 1,000, yeah, for the 90 days, and then the rich results organic traffic should be around 900, yeah? Minus 100 plus 50, something like that. So if this amount is around that interval, then you know that you don't have any large quality issues. But if it's dropping, and if it's dropping sharply at some point and consequently dropped and going in that way, that shows you there are some traces of the algorithmic adjustments. So the easier way to understand what's going on is to keep monitoring your organic traffic and your rich results organic traffic. So you can easily catch the anomaly in the data set that you are working with. That will be revealing the signs of quality issues on your website. Yeah. So with this method, you can also see if the Penguin or Panda impact has been lifted up, or that means, that's mainly called as like, it's not an algorithmic penalty, but first of all, there is no algorithmic penalty, but many people say that, and they say like it's been lifted up. So I don't want to use the same terminology, but I want to say that if the Pandas or Penguins impact has been reduced, you can easily see that as well. So that means, as you can see, there was a sudden spike on the rich results, rich snippet traffic. That means you have actually solved many quality issues that you had on your site. So for that, I have one reminder. If this happens, then check your crawl stats, because Google tends to increase its crawling just before the update. So now that you know Penguin and Panda is getting the core part, they are the core part of the algorithm, and Penguin is real time and Panda is doing these checks more. So it's not like the 2 years ago. So the updates they can be seen more frequently. And this is what is generally happening. So there you see a sudden spike on the crawl rates, and you can easily do that with the crawl stats. So that's why I say you don't need many other tools to just do this analysis. You only need the Search Console. And this analysis, although I've been talking about this like for 20 minutes, it can be done in 10, 15 minutes. So I want to show a little bit more detail, which is just one reminder is that pandas or penguins' impact on your domain can vary. So as you can see here, the impact is quite severe, yeah? So it's almost overkill that you can see the total amount of the organic traffic coming from the reach results at the same date. When you see the total amount, it's getting quite like almost overkill. There's a sudden spike here, but this was because a change in the Search Console's calculation. But here you see some oscillations. That means you can evaluate the pandas and penguins' impact on your domain. Is it severe or minor? That means, are my quality issue problems on the website, are they big enough to jeopardize my website's organic visibility, or are they minor enough that I can fix them quite easily and then I will get my visibility back in short time? So here you can identify these things by keep monitoring the difference between total amount of the traffic, organic traffic, and reach results organic traffic. So remember, like if the quality issues are larger when the difference between these traffic types is bigger. So here you can see like the total amount of the traffic is 1.3 million for the last 90 days, but the total clicks coming from the reach results, although 90% of the pages of this site has been marked up, the total click was that number. That means the site has severe quality issues. So you might ask me like, okay, like we got the point, this is the methodology we use, but how are we going to spot whether this algorithmic update is penguin or panda that is impacting my site? So for that, we need 2 more hours to talk. That's why I'm just gonna wrap it up like this and say, you can understand if this is penguin by checking your backlink profile. So do a link clinic and check your backlink profile, see if you can spot a remarkable amount of bad backlinks, see you can find any bad patterns on the backlink profile. And also to identify if it's a panda issue, I would say you need to check and do a site audit and check your pages. If you see a lot of numbers of low quality content, problems with the canonicals, redirects, like a lot of duplicate content or the low quality content, or if you see a frustrating user experience, that you can look into the some metrics like bounce rate or user engagement metrics that you generally keep looking, and check your navigation structure. And if you are generating, like manipulating the internal links instead of providing the users a good experience just to confuse the search engine's crawlers. So I would say there is one takeaway from this talk. So implement structured data and monitor its traffic, because implementing the structured data will not only give you the chance to increase your CTRs or have a better organic visibility on the SERPs, but it will also give you the chance to do this amazing analysis to understand the overall quality of your site and to see if you have any quality issues within a short time frame by using Search Console only and its dashboards. So thanks a lot for giving me the chance to talk about this, and I'll be more happy to listen if you have any questions.